All right. Hey, thank you for joining us for the next episode. I guess we call these episodes, right? Of the Texas News Podcast. We're going to have a good one, but we're switching things up. Normally, we would do the interviews at the very beginning, and we've got a great one for you today. Ben Mostyn, who's running for the Texas House there in Bexar County. He is a phenomenal candidate, and I cannot wait to get to that interview. All right. Look, let's get past this and let's talk about it. I mean, we talked about Chip Roy. We talked about ineffective GOP leadership. We talked about the petition campaign and all the lawsuit stuff. And we talked about the Texas First Pledge and the Take Texas Back effort. Well, look, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest. I want to welcome a candidate for Texas House 117 and Texas First Pledge signer, Ben Mostyn. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you, Daniel?
I'm fantastic. Hey, and thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. So why don't you start by giving everyone just a little bit about your background and your experience?
So I've lived all over, but I grew up in Texas. I was homeschooled most of my life, in fact, until the 10th grade. And then I went to public school and the first in the nation to go to high school and the college simultaneously. Studied engineering, was the youngest employee of the MCI Corporation, been in sales and telemarketing and management for majority of my life. But then I went into the Army and I bounced all over the country and around the world. So after the Army, I was a true civilian for a little while. I was in the modeling and movie industry in New York City. You'll hear that accent from time to time. And then I went back to defense. I taught for the Department of Defense for many years. I was deployed as a subject matter expert and advisor, and I did 5 deployments. And I came back to the States and eventually was able to get back to Texas. I couldn't wait to get back to Texas. I saw the country falling apart, unfortunately, from afar as you defended as we defended the United States and what we stand for. And so when I got back to America, I couldn't wait to get back to Texas and finally found my way back here and got to Texas and said, wait a minute, what is going on here? And that's what drove me to get involved in Texas politics.
Well, let's talk about the race for a bit. You're running, as I mentioned, you're running for Texas House there in District 117. Kind of bridge that gap for us. I mean, you obviously, you said you got to Texas and you looked around and you said, hey, wait a minute, we've got issues here that need to be addressed. How did you get from there to saying, look, I've got to throw my name in the ring because I think our people need better representation?
Well, it didn't even start that way. What it was is when the 2022 election took place and the red wave that was supposed to happen, that didn't happen. I started going around and talking to the movers and shakers, not only here in San Antonio, Bexar County, but also in the surrounding counties, saying, we are losing. This is a blue city. They're trying to turn this state blue. And, what do you need? How can I help? Put me in, coach. And they said, we need you to run for office. Your background and your energy, we need you to run for office. And so, research was done on, what the best fit for me would be and something that is winnable. And we saw Texas House, District 117 and said, you know what, we can flip that seat. And to put that in perspective, there are 10 seats in San Antonio. 7 of them are held by Democrats. And if I can just round out with one of the causes that really drove me, aside from the red wave or lack thereof that I mentioned, it's America has lost its identity. And we need to get back to the roots and back to the basics of a constitutional republic that is governed by democracy, in which there is self-governance, in which we are governing ourselves. And so we need an adult in the room. We need a problem solver in the room and not a politician. And that's what my focus is to bring to the state of Texas.
That's fantastic. And look, I think you've rightly identified that part of the problem that we've got right now, particularly with pushing back against the federal government, whether it's the border, whether it's federal debt, any of those issues that really drive support on the Texas issue. The weak point in our chain, in our defense, is really the Texas House. From
Yes.
your perspective, I mean, and that's an understatement, right? I understand
It all falls
that's a bit
apart.
of a soft pedal, right? But from your perspective, I mean, obviously you talked about doing this evaluation. What is your kind of view on where the Texas House as a body sits right now? Where do you think those problems are coming from?
Dysfunctional. Also answering to the special interest groups and not answering to we the people. Being more concerned about just the fraternity and keeping that going, the relationship and the money coming in, and not problem solving. What really frustrates me, and this is not only in Texas, but also at a congressional level, is that when you talk to a legislator, you say, why aren't you taking care of the border? Why don't we have school choice? Why aren't we revamping our education system? Why are our taxes so high and we are continuously paying a higher and higher rent to the government, and then have the audacity, the government, to allow us to sit in traffic for hours and hours every day because we can't seem to get a road completed, to get text messages that our grid is short on electricity. The list goes on. And I am tired of those excuses on why things are not getting accomplished. And where the accountability lies, often it's in those bureaucracies, or it is in the House and the Senate to ensure that we are motivating the bureaucracies, ensure that we are giving the governor the tools that he needs to make us successful so that we have a better life here in Texas.
Right. That's great. I mean, look, it would be ideal if we had these politicians in Austin, these alleged representatives.
We don't need
Actually,
politicians.
well, I mean, we need to purge the politicians, but
That's right.
we need these people that purport to represent us to put Texas first. I mean, that's how you lead, is you lead by example, and the people of Texas have experienced this massive disconnect between what we talk about a lot, which is the will of the people and the political establishment. There is a political establishment that seems to want to perpetuate itself, and it does so in one of two ways, right? It will ignore the will of its constituents, but then it goes out and does just enough not to get fired, right?
Yes.
They will do things that look good on campaign mailers, or they'll just flat out lie.
That's right. We constantly have a Band-Aid on a brain tumor. And what we need to get in there and do surgery. We need to remove the problem. Whether it's the border, education, taxes, the list goes on. We need to get in there and stop. The Senate puts out some very good legislation, gets to the House, and it either dies or is diluted to a point that is no longer effective. And so we need problem solvers that get in there and address the root of the problem. And by the way, as a legislator, Texas, America as a whole, it's not about writing laws for everything. That's not how our country was built. It is about self-governance. You doing the right thing, govern yourself, govern your household, and do your part. Like Kennedy said, what can I do for my country? Not what can my country do for me? And we need to have that spirit back in Texas, that spirit of independence and determination at an individual level. And the legislators or the politicians, hopefully problem solvers, not politicians, right, that we send to office, we need them to have the motivation and conviction to solve problems.
Well, you know what they say, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and when you're a politician, everything looks like it needs a law. So, that's just how those guys work. Well, look, let's talk about this, because we're kind of on the track of talking about, putting Texas and Texans first. What motivated you to sign the Texas First Pledge?
Well, first of all, there is an extreme amount of frustration throughout Texas, and I swore an oath to my country, and I want to keep this country together, because divided we cannot stand. It benefits us in many ways. However, if the federal government is not doing its job, if they are continuously, they're not fixing the border, they're not allowing the state to do what is necessary, well, then Texas has the right to move back to our origins as the only republic in these United States. And I don't think we will come to that, and I surely hope we don't come to that. However, that is an option that is on the table and will always be on the table between the United States and Texas.
Yeah, and this has been our case with anyone, whether they're in office or seeking office, which is, look, we're not here yet to debate the pros and cons of staying or leaving, right? That is a debate unto itself. But where we should be is at a point where elected representatives are acknowledging their respect for Article 1, Section 2, and letting the people of Texas have the conversation and have a vote on the issue. Because that's when those pros and cons will get fleshed out. I mean, people will have a vigorous debate about the relationship between the federal government and Texas. But, just letting the people vote is not a bad thing, is it?
No, it's not. And I think that the conversation that we're talking about, getting that discussion going, and really starting to push it, I hope that it wakes up the federal government. Honestly, would you want to lose Texas? We are the 8th largest economy in the world. We bring in $2.4 trillion per year to these United States. Okay. So is that something that you would, you want to lose from your portfolio, speaking in business terms? This is a strong state, and we bring so much to the United States of America, and there should be respect, not only for our position, but what we bring to the table.
Right. Well, Ben, let's talk about sort of your issues. I mean, you're there in San Antonio. You're running in a House district that's there in Bexar County. What are some of the other issues that you're focusing on in your campaign right now?
First and foremost is the border. We need to secure the border. I have full support for Governor Abbott and any measures that he takes to secure the border. Concertina wire, buoys, blocking, taking over a park. I don't care what you have to do. We have to secure our border. It is unfair to the people that live at the border. It is unfair to our infrastructure, our hospitals, our schools, our police. We have to secure the border. There is a hemorrhage at the border, and in order to fix the hemorrhage, or in order to fix our immigration crisis, and the illegal aliens that are coming in, to address that situation, we have to stop the hemorrhaging. If we do not stop the hemorrhaging, we cannot address the issues of not only the illegals that we know that are here, but those that have gotten away. The drugs, the fentanyl, all the stuff that continuously floods into our country is absolutely unacceptable. To our south, I-35, at the border. Oh gosh, I just lost the name. The main port of entry there to the south starts with an N. I lost it now. Anyways, there's almost $1 trillion of commerce that comes in, through our border, just in one border entry point. And we need to leverage that with Mexico. Next is our education system. We need to put school, school choice. That choice should be for parents. I mean, how more American can it be than to send your kids to the school that you want them to go to with your tax dollars? And so many of the schools are failing in Texas. And this is absolutely unacceptable. And this is why we need to revamp the education system from top to bottom. But we need to ensure that parents have that opportunity. It's not going to solve everything, but we need to pass school choice. And then our taxes, it's getting too expensive for everyone to live in a house, especially if you're on a fixed income. Okay. And so we need to address the debt at the municipal and the county levels. Like I said, a higher level of accountability on our roads and highways and how long they take to be built. We need more power plants because we're going to be the most populated state in the union no later than 2030, if not sooner. And the amount of electricity that's necessary, we cannot sustain that. And so we need to drill, frack. We need to use the natural gas that God has given us, and we also need to round it out with crime. We have got to back the blue and support law. The liberal DAs that are not enforcing the law, they've got to go. And we need to ensure that there is law and order. In San Antonio last year, they tried to pass a proposal that would lower the bar on crime. That is not for Texas. If you want that, go back to California or Portland or wherever you came from. That is not for Texas. And so that's a snapshot of some of the things that I'm working on and what I'm standing for.
Well, fantastic. Well, Ben, man, I know you're busy out there campaigning, so we'll wrap it up with this question. Help people understand what can they do right now to best help you win your race.
Donate to the campaign. It takes a tremendous amount of money to win a campaign, and especially to defeat the Democrats who, they bring in a lot of money. So to defeat the Democrats, we have to raise money. I also need volunteers. We need people block walking, phone banking, mailers, getting that information out, letting people know my district 117 has really been unrepresented for over a decade. Okay, someone that doesn't show up and vote. Someone that sides with liberal policies. They position themselves as a conservative, but you look at their voting record, that is a rubber stamp for liberal ideals, and that is not Texas values. That is not what this state or this republic, this is not how we began and how we became the 8th largest economy in the world. And so I need that support, financial support, and the manpower to help me win this race.
Well, fantastic, Ben. If people want to find out more, where can they reach you?
They can go to mostynfortexas.com. That's MOSTYN. And if you can't remember how to spell that, most objective solution to your needs. MOSTYN for Texas.com. Go there, donate, and become part of the movement so that we can fix our state and fix this district.
Well, Ben, I really appreciate it, and on behalf of the TNM, let me just thank you for signing the Texas First Pledge, and I'm excited about your race. I am extremely excited about your race, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the Texas legislature.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to speaking again.
Great. Thank you, Ben.